Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh. Hello, readers.
Hi readers. That was forceful.
Yeah, that sounded like you were gonna break some really tragic news. Which
Well, I mean, we do have some tragic news, and that is
maybe too aggressive of a word. Before we freak people out. It's
tragic is too strong.
Yeah.
We have some relatable news.
Yeah, relatable.
So we are both suffering from like the dreaded reading slump. It just hit both of us around the same time, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to today's episode. So we are not reviewing a book, in case you didn't catch the episode title.
You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, if you've never heard of this before, we are actually reviewing a K-drama.
Korean drama.
Yep. In case you didn't know that, I had to explain to my mother what a K-drama was the other day. What is that? I'm like,
that's fair.
Oh, sweet mother.
I think it's like the Korean wave is like what the like large trend name is, because it's like all the K-pop bands and now K-dramas and like K-beauty.
It's everywhere.
It's a thing.
And I'm here for it. 100%. Like K-beauty, K-drama.
K-beauty is
legit. Yeah. I have some amazing stuff. That could be its own separate mini episode. Like, honestly, here's some beauty reviews. But it is Crash Landing on You, which I think was on the top 10 for Netflix.
I could see that.
It might still be.
And it came out in like 2019 or something.
It's not new. It's been out for a long time.
It's so good. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah. You're getting 2 episodes of Crash Landing on You because we love this so much.
Yes.
And not just this one, though, because you've been watching K-dramas longer than I have.
I guess that is true. But you've gone like full send more than I have.
I'm a little ashamed of myself.
Don't be ashamed. Embrace the K-drama.
The amount of hours I put into reading, I have now put into K-dramas. Yeah, so we have recommendations and so many. So we're going to kind of go through the episode the same way we did our books.
Yep. Yeah.
Describe what happens, kind of give our takes and what we like, what we dislike about it. Yeah. And hopefully you all like it.
Yeah. I feel like we should preface it. So we're not picking this K-drama randomly. No. Like, it's a little bit more intentional. So if you haven't watched it, this K-drama specifically, and there's probably other K-dramas that also do this, but it has almost every single romance trope.
Every single one of them.
Every single one. But it does it well.
Way better.
Like,
way better than a book would do it.
Astronomically well.
I don't know what it is. And so we have some points to kind of go over later on as we get into this, but we did pick this with purpose, which is to say that all the things that we love about our favorite fantasy romance, our favorite romance books are in this show.
Yeah. Jammed, packed in there.
There's over 16 hours of episodes to watch. But another good thing for you, if you're still leery about like they're doing a TV show, 1 season, people.
Yep.
It's only usually only ever 1 season.
Yep. The story arc like resolves in a very watchable, but it feels like they're hour-and-a-half long movies and then you string them together. So it's like a 17-hour movie. It's like high production value. Everyone is beautiful all the time.
you get to know so much about the characters. It's fantastic. But we do have some like administrative bookkeeping.
That's such a cute, like so formal.
Before we get into everything. So this is going to be a little bit longer of an intro before we get into the meat of Crash Landing on You. But we realize that we've kind of fallen by the wayside of introducing our next books, for example, and kind of
probably because we've been like ad hoc, like which one do we want to do? And then other ones will go to the top of the TBR pile. Like, it very much echoes what happens in real life.
We started out with such good intentions. We had a whole publishing schedule. We had all the books in order. And then we started getting recommendations and new books came out. And then new books came out that we hated.
That threw the whole thing off.
So we're going to be better.
Yes.
But we are also going to be taking a bit of a break. As
that also sounds aggressive. It's only a 2-week break. Don't panic.
We're not going anywhere, but summer is coming to an end and your favorite season.
Pumpkin spice.
if anyone has seen Bo Burnham, his Inside episode, have you watched Bo Burnham? Oh my God. So like musical comedy as a thing, he's hilarious, but he has a song like White Woman's Instagram.
Same.
That's you.
I'm like aggressive about it though, because there's some people that are like, oh yeah, I love pumpkin spice. I'm like, I will have it on everything.
Okay, so we're gonna pause the episode right now. Katie's gonna watch this song, and we're gonna come back so you can get her live reactions right now.
I think I have that flannel. He pulled an avocado. These are all things I like though. Peace sign oatmeal. I have done that. Guilty. Oh my God, the rock plugin. I also love tiny pumpkins. Comfy socks. I just bought another pair yesterday. There are some of his poses that I 100% have done.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I know.
Oh. I also love succulents on books. My favorite position, CEO. Same.
Do you feel a little seen?
Yeah, but in a not good way. I feel like I was just made fun of for 4 minutes and 5 seconds.
So he's hilarious. Netflix has, I think, 4 or 5 of his stand-up specials. Don't give me that face.
I'm doing sad puppy dog face because I just like pumpkins.
I feel like that's definitely white woman millennial targeted.
Oh, I could see
you
that.
You probably like sit in the in-between gray area.
Yeah, where I'm like more like aggressive about it because existential grit.
Existential bread is the new word now.
Existential bread. Existential.
Is that what Jesus served at the Last Supper?
You cannot just side saddle into that. Oh my God, Jordan.
Gold.
I'm just, I think, a little bit more aggressive than they are. Like, I don't take Instagram posts, but I like 100% will snort pumpkin spice. 100%.
Pictured you with a line of pumpkin spice.
Like, abso-fucking-lutely. And I'll do it in my Uggs.
So people walk into the office and come to your desk, and this happened last week.
It did.
And they picked up your bottle of pumpkin spice lotion.
Yeah, I have it. It's just a little hug in a thing when I'm feeling a little sad.
She looked at me and said, "Does Katie sit here?"
That's sad. Right next to my little like pothos plant and my little notebook that 100%. Has like your mind is a galaxy with little like star constellations on it. God. I'm one of those.
But it's adorable.
Thanks.
It really is.
Like that whole video just made me want like fall.
Yeah. Well, so that's kind of why we're taking a break.
That is true.
Is because, end of summer, we need sweaters out, we need boots out, we need like cozy reads to like drive us out of our reading slump.
Yeah. And there is something about like little kids going to school. Like I don't have kids.
The school buses.
Oh, yeah. Like I don't have kids, but that 2-week period at the beginning of September is just like frantic.
I think I tie everything back to You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. It's one of my favorite movies. But there's a line in the beginning where they talk about, don't you just love fall? It's like the smell of like freshly sharpened pencils.
Oh, yes. But yes.
Yeah.
I'll be on the sniff out for that.
So we will be resuming recording on September 18th, right? Is that right? I hope that's correct. So
there will be an episode releasing on 18 September.
And that episode will be Foxglove is our next book after our Crash Landing episodes come out.
Yeah.
So Foxglove actually publishes
August 22nd.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this episode, it publishes tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that is our next read. That is the sequel to Belladonna by Adalyn Grace, which was a pick of the week many, many weeks ago.
Many moons.
Yeah. I was reading on like the Goodreads author website that she did 0 arcs for this book.
Interesting.
Like very small group of people had access to this. So there's no spoilers at all.
Oh, I wonder if there's going to be like a really big twist or something.
I hope so. I also hope that it's not written from the main chick's perspective. I want to read about her cousin.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
She was an interesting character and like more forceful and smarter.
A little more like snarky.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope that's what we're going to get.
It's almost, not to tie everything back to Pride and Prejudice, but it's kind of like the main character was like the blonde one.
Oh, Jane?
Yeah. And then Keira Knightley's character is the cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
100%.
Yeah, so let's hope we get Elizabeth's story.
So you have a whole month to read it because kids going back to school and like fall stuff that you just have to do in Labor Day weekend, you'll have plenty of time to read it before 18 September. That's what we said, right?
I mean, they also need time to read the next book. We're so excited. We have
evil laughter.
We booked out we need to drink when we record this book. It is the book we've been waiting for.
I'm so excited.
Master of Crows.
Grace Draven.
Finally. After Foxglove. There will be 2 parts for Foxglove and then right into Master of Crows.
Yeah. I hope Foxglove is very like sweet and like tender and like kind of funny.
Be.
And then we get into Master of Crows, which is just spicy.
Dark and spicy, just like we like it.
In time for October too. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
The timing impeccable.
So that is on the horizon. And with all of that, we are going to kind of launch into Crash Landing on You.
That was a fun...
I didn't do that on purpose.
Oh.
There are 16 episodes in Crash Landing on You. And it's either 16 or 20 from what I've seen of the K-dramas I've watched so far as like a standard. And it's, like we said earlier, 1 season usually. We are going to attempt to pronounce some of these names. And it's not that we don't want to say them. It's that we don't want to insult anyone by saying them poorly.
Yeah. And I will also say, so we talked to some of our Korean-speaking friends about K-dramas, and sometimes when they're talking to each other in Korean, they'll use like not
like
nicknames.
Endearments.
Yeah, like endearments.
Sister, and those are easy to spot, like uni and Oppa,
older brother. Yeah. So the subtitles though will say the person's name, and so sometimes for some of these names you only hear it once, and then it's like,
never.
I hope you remembered it.
Well, and then they also put like an additional sound
at the end as like a honorific.
Yeah, depending on like who they're talking to.
Oh yeah, to like a not announced to them, but like, hey, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, because I think like, so our heroine of this story is Yoon
Seri, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you hear Seria a lot.
And they're like calling her like, hey, Yoon Seria, I'm talking to you.
And it's like I think it's the standard, like we know each other, but we're not super close, maybe.
Because that's the other thing too that adds like a second layer, which I wish I spoke Korean so I could hear this.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah. They have different honorific language if you're talking to someone older than you or younger than you. And I guess there's moments in the story where it'll like change to their being like close together or like close friends.
Like intimate speaking.
So it's like when they change, it's like, oh,
something happened. And that's what like this show, like and a lot of K-dramas do well, is like little details like that where there's like layers of meaning built into just the dialogue where they change like how they're addressing someone minutely. And you're like, oh, you feel the tension just.
Yeah. Because there's a moment in another K-drama called Bloodhounds where the 2 guy characters, it's the best friendship on screen I have ever seen in my entire life. But the one younger one is like talking super honorific and the older one is like, why the fuck are you talking to me like I'm 80 years old? And then it changes.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah. So all of that to say is the names are challenging.
We're going to butcher them and I'm 100% sorry.
Yeah. Especially our main dude Lee.
Yeah.
He is Captain Lee.
Yeah, Captain Lee.
Do we want to attempt it? It's like Lee Jong-hyo or something like that.
I think so. Yeah. But Captain Lee.
We're never going to say it again because I don't know if we're saying it so like wrong if we're saying something else.
Yeah.
And then, no, I don't want to do that.
Yep. Yep. It's the whole like Japanese characters on the arm and you're like, oh yeah, it means strength. And it's like, that's not what that means.
Let's not make our podcast do that.
Yeah.
Okay. But Seri is like a pretty, we can say Seri.
They say it like a bajillion times.
Yeah. Thank God. So we open up in South Korea, and Seri is a very wealthy, successful CEO of a fashion company.
Yeah, it's like it's called Series Choice or Sari's Choice, and she's made it by herself. Like this is her baby.
No help from her family, and like the opening scenes where she's just like a powerhouse.
Yeah,
she's fashionable, she's beautiful, she's put together. She's like take no prisoners. It's a very empowering.
Oh
scene.
yeah,
like hell yeah. But we kind of like enter and meet her as she's getting filmed, like kind of dating someone.
Yeah.
But it's like a fake, like staged photo thing. Yeah. Like, oh, I guess I date, and the picture taken.
And it's funny too, because they're like going through all the intricacies of like when it'll be published in the news versus when they can like release their new line of, I think, like jewelry or something. Yeah. So it coincides.
She's very strategic and manipulative. Yeah. Like for like good reason though. Like she's doing it to make her business successful. And like, would you attribute like ill intent if a dude was doing it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's CEO behavior. So yeah, like girl power a little bit.
She's a girl boss.
Yeah, exactly. But she's on her way to a dinner.
A family dinner, a very emotionally loaded family dinner.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the family dinner?
So we soon discover as she comes to this like dinner table that she is the daughter of a wealthy chaebol, is I guess a Korean term for like
it's like a venture capitalist, industrialist kind of thing.
But it's like a family.
Yeah, like a dynasty of businessmen.
And so they're like not a mob, but like, you know what I mean? Where it's like in the family, the business. Yeah. And the father was recently released from prison for like financial crimes, and they're trying to figure out who's going to be the like successor of the company. And normally, I guess in Korean culture, it'd be the oldest brother, but both of her two older brothers are kind of like fucking idiots. Like, so the one is like a lovable idiot, and then the second one is kind of like smarter but doesn't make great financial decisions. And then, so at this loaded dinner, everyone's like waiting for who they're going to announce, and then Yoon Se-ri walks in, and she's kind of estranged from the whole family. And then the father's like, it's going to be her. Like she had her own company that she like, you know, raised up when she became estranged from us. Like, obviously, she's the choice. Yeah. And the brothers freak the fuck out.
Well, what I thought was super, super cool, though, is that the brothers' wives are portrayed as like equal players, and they are the powerhouses behind the men.
100%.
And they're pissed. They're like, I married into this family so I could get my own. And they see Se-ri getting all of it.
Yep.
And the husbands are just kind of like fish just flopping around. Like,
they're like, wait a second. But it's mine.
What do I do, honey? Tell me.
Because immediately the wives start like scheming. They're like, well, she's like not married and she doesn't have kids. And like, how could she be the like new? And it's supposed to be the oldest brother. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, it can't be the oldest brother because like he lost a bunch of money. So like, what about this brother? And it's like, well, he's an idiot.
It's super good representation of like powerful women.
Yeah.
In different manners.
Yeah.
Right? Like showing how they are exercising their like, I don't know, power.
Agency.
Yeah, exactly. But what's cool, not cool, what's interesting is the mom.
Yeah.
Not a powerful figure at all, but like has subtle influence.
Yeah. Because doesn't she like stand up dramatically at the end and she's like, oh no, this is a different episode. But like you get hints of it where she's very quiet and kind of like meek almost in the first episode. But then you like see throughout the season that she like makes these kind of small power plays and everyone's like, oh shit, she's like talking.
She like sees everything. But yeah, so a huge theme across the episodes is these family power dynamics and balancing, and like that's very established in this first episode. Like who is Se-ri in relation to all of these other family members around her?
Yeah.
And she's a kick-ass bitch.
That was so much. I was like, I don't know what word she's gonna say.
I went through my catalog and I'm like, I might edit that out.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Which leads us well into our next scene, where she is doing something fucking insane. Like,
what is she doing?
Oh, the
whole thing that kicks off the episode. So she's kind of a thrill seeker.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see
like
that.
An adrenaline junkie.
Because I also got the vibe that she's one of those like, I'm not going to sell something unless I vet it myself. Like, not a control freak, but like kind of.
Yeah, it could be both, actually. I didn't think of it in that perspective.
It's probably like one informing the other, like covering up for the other.
Do we get any glimpses into her history in the first episode in Switzerland?
Maybe a little bit, but not much, I don't think.
Yeah, okay, so
we could talk about it now.
Yeah, just to kind of get it out there. And this is a trigger warning, I think. So this show also contains very serious themes of suicide and depression, like major depression. And Seri deals with that. Like the show deals with Seri's depression and like suicidal ideation in flashback across various episodes. So you get these throughout the show, but it shows her in Switzerland. So she kind of left South Korea on like a journey to, I don't know.
End her life? Because I think Switzerland has medical assisted death. So if you're going through like extreme emotional or mental or physical trauma, you can go there and like legally get help dying. And it's like not really suicide, but like there's talk of like whether it is or not.
So she goes on like a trip, and I want to say it's like 5 or 6 years ago, like from the current current timeline.
I think so.
And she's in Switzerland in this beautiful setting, and she's just miserable. And you learn about why she's depressed as the series progresses, but she's dealing with like multi-layered emotions. And I think a lot of it stems from her relationship with her mother and the rest of her family, and how she's been forced to like basically be on her own. Like no one loves her, because how can you love within a family that's all obsessed with power and money? So yeah. So maybe that's part of the like thrill seeking and the adrenaline.
I could see that
thing,
because she does have a point too that like she's just gotten this amazing news about how she's going to become like the new CEO for the family company. I think it's called like Queen's Group or something.
Yeah,
but at the same time she'd have to leave her own company. So it's like one of those. Yeah, I'd be like elevated because this company's amazing and huge, but also I put all this work into my own company, and
now it's just going to become another family company.
Yeah.
So
she decides to test out her brand's new line of extreme sportswear
and goes paragliding.
Which kind of sounds fun, but also no fucking thank you.
You could
like, no.
never pay me to do that. Hell no.
Nope.
But she's like, I got this. I'll be fine. And she does paragliding in Switzerland. So she references that. Like, oh, I did this when I was abroad.
But it's in kind of like a, I've done this before. I'm fine.
Yeah.
It proceeds to not
be fine at all. Well, it's not really her fault either. And
true.
She's kind of got like a bumbling executive assistant type who accompanies her.
I love his character so much. He has like kind of like crazy hair the whole time, and he like breaks out in a rash when he hears his voice or when he hears her voice, because like
you can feel his stress level.
Oh my God, he is stressed out all the time, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she's like, "It's fine, I'll be fine." And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God."
Yeah, it's cute, but also like, oh, I can relate to that too. So she goes paragliding, and a storm happens.
Not just a storm,
like a fucking tornado happens. And she's gliding so close to the DMZ.
Demilitarized zone. You're not into things.
If you haven't watched, 40 hours of K-dramas at this point. Yeah. So she gets blown across the border.
Into North Korea.
And dropped in like a forest. And she's stuck hanging in a tree.
Yeah. I like the beginning because it just kind of shows her character, but she's like hanging in the tree. She kind of like wakes up and she's like, oh, I'm in a national park. Like, I don't really know any national parks near the area I was, but I'm for sure in a national park. And then she's like calling on the radio and she's like, why is no one listening to me? Like, I'm going to fire everyone when I get back. And then she's like, well, maybe I could give him a break. I have been working hard. She's having this like inner monologue as she's like 30 feet in the air.
So as a character, something I really appreciated about her is that she's so confident, even when she's so wrong. Like, I felt like a lot of her moments were when I was so confident I was pronouncing, what's that word from last time? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What word was that? I am 70% confident I am saying this word correctly.
What was that word?
I don't want to think about that word ever again.
I forgot. Someone is probably screaming it in their car.
Ensorcelled.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the word.
That is her throughout this whole like series.
I very much related to Seri in this show. So she's confident that she's safe in the whole national park.
Yep. And it's funny too because this is when we're introduced. Well, we get a little like scene of him being Captain Lee and like fighting a bunch of dudes. And then
Captain Lee.
He's
hi. Ooh.
I'm like trying to make my brain work.
I'm trying not to giggle because all I can see is him later on in the show.
Oh my God. Yeah. So tall, strong, great features, like disgustingly handsome.
Ridiculously handsome. Oh, and maybe this is a good plug to say, like, if you're not completely sold on the show, the two leads are married.
Yes. They are married.
They got
in real
married
life.
after this show.
Oh God, the chemistry is fucking fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we meet Captain Lee, and he is a North Korean captain. He's on like border watch,
patrol thing.
Like it's like an assignment for a couple months. But anyways, he's with his little like squad, and he's like, we've gotten some reports that like the fence has been downed because of the storms. Like, let me go look. And he's with somebody, and he's like, you go that way, I'll go this way. And then he stumbles upon her sweet South Korean CEO, Yoon Se-ri, stuck in a tree. And he's like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, okay, so the way they did this scene, though, it's a little bit later on. You find out that she was like asleep or clueless or something. I thought this was super cute. And like he sees her and like he's initially like pulls out his gun and was like, what the fuck is going on here?
This is a spy.
And then he realizes this is the most non-threatening creature I could potentially come across. And so he like takes the mag out or something, and like he's not going to shoot anyone.
Nope.
So he like watches her like collect herself, and like he screws his face up into this like, okay, I guess I have to be intimidating right now.
I have a job.
Yep.
Because it's also great because she's in this like pastel lavender like jumpsuit.
She's very fashionable.
Yeah.
Like, and she paraglides with her hair down, like not in this lifetime.
No. That is in my mouth, like
you can't see
choking
shit
me.
if your hair's like hanging down.
Yeah. And so he stumbles across her and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, the military has been sent out to rescue
Save
me. And then he pulls out a gun on her and she's like, don't shoot me. Okay.
Where
and then he like tells her to get out and she's like, I'm 30 feet in the air. What do you mean? And then he like, I think
does
cocks the gun?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but it's empty, and you don't find out till later.
Yeah.
So, like, in the moment, like, you see it from Seri's perspective, where you think she's getting threatened by this, like, badass North Korean
you're
captain.
Like, this is not good.
Pulls out the gun, and, like, later on, you find out, like, there is nothing in that gun. Like, he was not going to shoot
playing the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she, like, starts, like, scrambling to unbuckle her stuff, and then she's like, how do I get down? And then she just, like, yeets herself.
Yeah. She just
and that's the first moment where I'm like, this is something special, because she lands on top of him.
That's
romance trope.
So much.
She like lands on him and he catches her and he's like, this is very intimate.
Very. And you're right. I forgot about that trope.
It's such a funny scene because he looks like, excuse me,
like, a woman is on top of me.
Yep. And so this is the next like crazy scene, right? So he's like, okay, like I have to take you with me. And then that's when she actually realizes that he's like a North Korean military person and not a South Korean military person. And
she's like looking at his uniform and sees the flag and she's like, oh, you are not my friend.
She's like, what? Where am I? Because I think she thinks he's like a spy or something at first. Like it does not dawn on her for like hours.
It takes her a while
that she is in North Korea.
Yeah.
But the next scene, she's trying to run away, and then Captain Lee accidentally steps on a landmine, and he plays it really cool at first. He's like, hand me that radio I dropped. I'm just gonna hang out here for a second. I think there's like something in my boot. And she's kind of like, why don't you take a step closer to grab the radio? Like, that's kind of weird. And then he like, like is visibly sweating and he's like, and then she runs away.
Through a minefield.
Yeah, through a minefield. No. Again, it's the whole like so confident in being wrong. Like one wrong move.
I'm going to be fine. I'm just going to run through here.
Yeah.
And you see like the, I don't know, mixed emotions on his face, because you think like he's legitimately concerned for her.
Yeah.
And yet he also stepped in the line. He cannot move.
Yeah. And it's also funny too, because you can tell on his face that he's kind of like dumbfounded by how like confident
she's very brazen.
Yeah. She's like, I am worried, one, that you're like a South Korean spy and you like came in here to spy on us. Two, I'm worried because you're running through a minefield. But three, I'm also kind of like weirdly like turned on by the fact that you're just running through this landmine with like no thought. It was and the line where right before she's gonna run away, she's like, oh, it's really sad that we can't talk for longer because you're totally my type. And then she runs away.
Let's talk for a second. He is everyone's type.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It was just, and he was even kind of caught off guard by like how like brazen. Yeah. Brazen that was. Because she
like,
just.
Well, It's just so cute.
It's adorable.
It's adorable. I mean, I will say though, his haircut's not helping him.
No. He kind of has this like not a bowl cut, but like almost.
It's a offset bowl cut.
Yeah, but it makes his like glow up
way better.
Yeah.
And
so, what even happens after she runs away?
Doesn't she get caught again?
Yeah, because that's the funny scene. So she's running at this fence, and the guy's like group of like 5 soldiers that we kind of like keep with throughout the series or whatever. They are chasing after her, and she's like running through these fields, and she sees this fence, and there's like a tree on it. So she's gonna like run up the tree and then like jump over. And then there's this moment where the soldiers are like, "Wait a second, no, don't go over there!" And they're like waving their hands, and she's like, "What the fuck are they doing?" And then one pulls out like a gun to shoot at her, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm just gonna jump over this fence." And then she jumps over, and then it kind of pans back to the like 2 soldiers, and they're just like looking at her, and they're like, "Does she know that she went deeper into North Korea?"
Oh, I forgot about that part. Yeah.
And then I think she like falls asleep, and then they capture her.
They capture her. So someone comes to rescue Captain Lee and like defuse the mine. And he's like, okay, we need to catch this chick. Like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, she is clueless.
Yeah.
So yeah, episode 2 was kind of like filler a little bit.
It was. I feel like it was more like buildup of like what's happening, because she ends up in like a North Korean village, I think.
Yeah. So she goes wandering, and I think she gets away. Doesn't she end up in the village and she wakes up in?
Oh,
that's
yet another trope.
Yeah.
So she like runs. No, you should talk about it.
If I remember correctly, it's been a little while. So she runs. It's at night, I think, and so she runs into this village, and it's completely dark.
Yeah.
So like no electricity, nobody's out, nothing's going on. She's like, oh, I'm safe.
I think this is one of the first moments that she realizes she's not in South Korea.
She's not in South Korea anymore.
It's a full day.
Yeah, she doesn't believe the captain that she meets with the different army uniform on. No, it takes her running into a village that looks like it stopped like growing in the 1960s. Korean War. So she, I think, settles down, right? Like she picks a hiding spot in that village.
Yeah, in like someone's house. In the house, she ends up Goldilocks moments is Captain Lee.
We love it.
It's just she's like stumbling from one romance trope to another.
She's like a little awkward duckling, like out in the like she's been so protected in her CEO South Korea elitist rich world that she does not know how to life with normal people at all, much less like in North Korea.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would be in any better position.
Okay, so moving kind of into episode 2, like she's established herself at, the Captain Lee's house. And he's like, well, I have to take care of her. Like he feels kind of, it seems, torn.
Yeah.
Like he knows she's just this lost little girl who like doesn't know how to do anything and not a spy. So there's this super sweet scene where we were just talking about this off mic, where he goes to the marketplace because she's very demanding. Like you see kind of her transformation throughout the show from this very pampered, demanding woman to someone who's actually pretty chill and laid back. But in this beginning, she's like, I need my conditioner. I need my shampoo. Where's my scented candle?
Yep.
And this poor man is like, I just need her to be quiet. So he goes to, I think, basically the black market in town to get all of these things for her because he's genuinely a kind, compassionate man who's just, there's this person I need to take care of. She's asking for these things. She must need them for some reason. And so he goes and he does that for her.
But it's so innocent too, because he's like, at the time when she's talking about all this, he's like, what are you talking about? And then it flashes forward to him like searching for these items. Like, good guy, Captain Lee.
But the other aspect too here is that this town is very, what's the right word? Like stuck in the past, but has not, like, electricity is like rationed. Like people don't, like cooking is a lot more challenging. Like luxuries are stuff that was popular in the 80s. It's a very different kind of world from what she's used to. And then at the same time that she's kind of dealing with this, Captain Lee is also dealing with a separate issue that he was investigating before she popped into the picture. if you want to.
His tragic backstory.
Oh, God, I forgot about
I know. So we kind of find out through the series that he is like a concert pianist, and he was like off to do his, like fun stuff.
A dude who can shoot a gun and play a musical instrument.
God. Anyways, yeah. But his brother kind of tragically dies in this very suspicious, weird car accident. And so he has to like come back for the funeral. And then his dad, maybe I don't want to spoil that yet about the dad.
Yeah,
let's hang on to that. But circumstances demand that he like go into the army and kind of like
replace his brother. Because his brother was killed like in the line of duty, basically.
Yeah. But in very suspicious circumstances.
So while they're on patrol, they come across the smugglers, which we didn't talk about.
They're like cultural object smugglers.
Yeah, they're like
interesting.
Yeah. So they catch them, and Captain Lee stumbles on like what's basically a corrupt government ring to sell,
I think they call it a gang.
Yeah, the truck gang.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. I think that's what it's called.
I think that's our version of it, but yeah.
So he's investigating this, like, he's like, what do they call it? The villain, arch nemesis type, is like the leader of the truck gang and is profiting off of all of these smuggled artifacts and stuff. So Captain Lee is investigating this. And so he is taking care of Seri and then has to go up to
Pyongyang. The capital? Question mark. Yeah. For some kind of circumstances.
I think it's related to the investigation.
Yeah. He's like talking to someone, or like maybe that's when he's like looking at the material that the like truck gang's trucks are made of or something.
Yeah. So he's doing a lot. Poor Captain Lee. Like he just doesn't get a break. So he like tells Seri, like, don't go out in public, stay in the house, don't touch anything. Yep. Here's your shampoo. And don't do anything until I get back from Pyongyang.
Which is funny because immediately there is a random house inspection.
Exactly. Well, so
I think it's intentional, right?
Yeah. And so I think this kind of gets into episode 3 now, right?
Yeah.
And oh man, this is the scene where things start getting like
crazy and hot.
And
for lack of a better word.
I can't put any, like, there's nothing like romantic about this scene but oh my God.
It is though.
It is.
Weirdly.
So what happens here is he's up in Pyongyang, like following up on this investigation, right? And then he finds out that they're doing the house inspections in the town, which is like an hour away, right?
And there's no like easy way to get back.
No. And his arch nemesis, and this dude plays the villain really well.
Really well.
I don't remember his name, the character's name.
I don't know either. Because like he's kind of an unknown character for a long time, and then they kind of like decide who he is or figure it out.
He's another he's like the KGB.
Yeah.
North Korea.
So like intelligence services of some sort, but like internal.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like
bad dude.
Very bad. And he's got it out for Captain Lee. And you don't quite know why, but like villain, pure villain. And
100%.
He's leading the house inspection.
Yeah. Suspicious.
Because I think they get a tip about the radio chatter.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, there's a woman
who's like crying and like crooning over the radio,
who's not from around these parts.
Because that's the other thing, is she has like a South Korean accent, and so everyone is like, "You're not from here.
What's going on?"
That's an accent I haven't heard in many moons.
Yeah. So villain is hunting and going house to house trying to find this like South Korean woman who like disappeared in the woods, and Captain Lee, an hour away, finds out about this house inspection and.
I know he's protecting himself, but like it's not relayed that way.
No, it's not. And honestly, you kind of get a sense that it's a little bit of like he's concerned for her. So he calls in a favor.
Yeah.
He makes a phone call and you see him meet with this high level government official who, and you can tell they're friends or buds or somehow. And like this dude would do anything for Captain Lee and you have no idea why, because Captain Lee is like just a lowly little captain. Like what's so special about him? And then you see him explain the car.
Oh, he's like, I have to call in a favor. And then he's like driving down these highways and he's like calling in favors. And then the like people are changing the lights to green so he can fucking like zoom through.
And he's not in a Kia. He's in like, I forget what kind
Jaguar.
Oh my God.
Why are there Jaguars in?
Well, I'm sure they're there, but something about that scene where he like favor, gets behind the wheel of a Jaguar and drives 100 miles an hour to go save this woman.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it leads into one of the best scenes.
The best trope we've ever
100%
seen in the show.
Yeah. So he like drives up in this super sexy car. Everyone's like, whose
the
fucking
fuck is
car?
that?
Like, what is happening? This is the house inspection.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the same time, the inspectors open up the like cold cellar.
Yeah.
It's like a food cellar or whatever. And Yoon City is like in there huddled up and they're like, get the fuck out. Who are you? Why are you hiding? And so they like drag her out outside of the house and they're in the street and he like rolls up and they're like, who is this South Korean woman that was like in your house? And he's like, that's my fiance.
Take your hands off her.
I died at the moment.
She's doing her Katie arms right now.
Yeah, they are fully extended.
Eagle mode.
Yeah. I think this was the point that I was like watching this and my partner was in a different room and I like screeched so loud that he came in to check if I was okay. I was not.
But like there's nothing overt about this, but just the scene of him like driving from the city.
Yeah. Weirdly hot. Like what is going on?
We don't know what's going on. I'm getting hot just thinking too.
Right? I'm sweating.
So yeah, and that's where we meet like one of the classic tropes in the fantasy romance genre and romance genres in general, which is the fake fiance, fake relationship. We must be together and preserve the secret. Yeah.
And for like the plot hole, he basically says that she's like a North Korean spy that spent a lot of time in South Korea, and that's why she has a South Korean accent. And like you can't ask any questions because she's a spy.
Yeah,
that's like the plot hole. But like I'm totally fine with the fake fiance. Like
he says like Department 11 or something like that, and it's a secret department that no one knows about except people who are in Department 11.
Yeah. Because everyone's like, oh, whoa.
Like they know what Department 11 is, but like we've never met anyone from there. And so she's like, yes, I'm a spy. So she like steps into the
immediately.
Role. She's like, of course, this is of course what I would be doing.
Because
like,
what does she say? She says something like, oh, I'd love to tell you about it, but I can't.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh.
She is so fun. She's very adaptable.
Yes.
Like she just kind of goes with it. Because I mean, and that's when you see like kind of her brain and her like ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Because she's not just sitting around waiting for, she's like constantly game planning.
100%.
It's so good. That was a lot. Man.
Yeah.
3 episodes in.
I know. That's what I mean. There's just trope after trope after trope, and they're all well done. And like, it's not incoherent when you put them all together. Because I feel like some fantasy books, like, you can't fit more than 1 or 2 in there, or else it just feels tropey. But this is like, the tropes just naturally happen and you're like, yeah. And then you're like, wait a second, that's a trope. But it's like after you're already like in it.
Well, something too that I was trying to explain to my partner, like this feeling of watching these shows, because it's not like watching normal TV.
No.
It's not the same experience. And I don't know if it's like the language barrier, because you're half reading and you're half watching.
I could see that.
So a lot of these lines I think would sound super cheesy. Like if we could understand them.
Yeah.
But reading it, you're like, oh no, this is totally realistic and fine.
And then like paired with the like loaded glances. So it's just artwork.
I put a note in here earlier, but like these shows do like little moments so well. Okay, Pride and Prejudice, the Keira Knightley one, the hand scene.
Yeah.
The hand scene, which is what everybody raves about. Like if you watch Pride and Prejudice, you know what we're talking about. There is 1,000 hand scenes in the show. And they're all equally warm and fuzzy. And you get like squeal.
100%. And I will say that's one thing that was a little bit different for me watching K-dramas is they have a lot of like loaded moments, but they draw them out. So you really are just like feeling the emotional feels. Because like they have a lot of scenes that it's like longing gazes, but it feels like
so
it just
much.
draws out the like feeling the whole time. And
it's the conflict, like the remember I say little Rob's, he's not little, but Rob's commentary on Twilight about the lack of uncertainty. K-dramas do uncertainty really well.
Yeah.
Like every single episode, you're uncertain about something. Like, how will this end? I know it has to have a happy ending, but how will it end?
Yeah. This is like a 24-hour movie. And even to the end, you like have uncertainty of what's going to happen.
It's
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Again, there's 16.
And again, it might feel kind of tropey, but like it works. Like you don't recognize the trope until like afterwards for a second, and you're like, how is that so well done?
Right? You just accept it. It's supposed to be how that happens.
Yep.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. So Captain Lee is going through the fucking hoops to try to get Yoon City out of North Korea. Because he's like, you need to get home. I need to not have a South Korean woman living in my house before anyone figures out you're not actually in Department 11.
Because he's basically been babysitting the whole time.
Yeah, but a fugitive.
With the help of his squad, who are just lovely.
The fucking most adorable group of individuals. I love that. I would watch a spinoff like
of just
4 or
them.
5 episodes of them just being them.
And we're not even really getting into all of the side characters that exist in the show, because you get glimpses into all of the townspeople. And they're not small like storylines either. They're really good.
But they're like satisfying. It doesn't feel like it's pulling away from the main love. It's almost like enriching it.
Exactly. It's really good.
Adorable.
But so like you said, Captain Lee has just been trying to get her the fuck out of North Korea, so he can
you need to leave.
He's got other things to do. So like they try a couple different, like they plan a couple different avenues for her to get out, and they stumble upon like this one.
Yeah, it's an illegal like offshore fishing vessel that like transfers goods to some other fishing vessel. It's very icky feeling, and you're like, this is not gonna go well. And
like, as they're talking about it, like, this plan is not going to work.
No, we're only on episode 4. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, this is not her way out of North Korea.
Yeah. And so they get on this super sketchy, like, vessel. It's like at midnight, and they have like a 10-minute window to transfer to the other boat. And so they're like trucking along, and all of a sudden, there are lights. Yeah.
It's the Marine Patrol.
Yep. And the guy says that he's been able to do this a bunch of times. And so you're immediately like, wait a second. How did they know to go to these exact spot?
Exactly. And he demands more money too. Like, where's my other phone card, bud?
Yep. Yeah. So this might be a good place to introduce the rat guy.
I like him.
I do too. He's a very gentle soul.
And you feel for him because someone has to do that job. Someone's going to do that job no matter what.
Yeah.
While Seri is hanging out in the house, there is like an underground
like wiretapping.
Yeah, basically. And they have like mics and cameras and stuff all over the town. And so they sneak into Captain Lee's house and put
like some kind of wiretapping like
stuff all over
dish that's like pointed at their house. I was kind of confused how that all worked, but I was like, yeah, checks out. They're like listening to the conversations.
They need to know what's going on so they can predict their movements and like keep her in North Korea longer, basically.
Because this guy who's listening to them is in cahoots
with the villain.
Yeah. But like forcefully, like against his will,
at his mercy. The dude, the evil villain, is like a senior in this secretive government branch, and the rat, who's like that's what he's called by everyone, is just like this lowly guy who is kind of indebted to him.
Yeah, because his son had some kind of
was sick or something.
Yeah, but he's got stuff over him.
Yeah, and so the rat has been feeding like his job is to listen to Captain Lee and like provide intelligence.
And he did. He did his job.
The boat scheme kind of gets leaked.
Yeah. And so as this boat is like approaching them, Captain Lee is like, okay, we will like hide somewhere. And Yoon City the whole time is like, where the fuck are we going to hide?
It's a fishing boat, right?
Yeah. And so the captain of the fishing boat is like, okay, hide in this like center console. Like I'll just give him a bribe and we'll like go on our way. It's not a big deal. And so Captain Lee and Yoon Seri go into this like kind of like holding area beneath the boat. Well, the boat inspection does not go well.
No, they board the boat like the Marine Patrol does. And they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. But then we get a flashback of the guy's little company of soldiers or whatever. And there's one who like is watching K-dramas like religiously.
That's right,
but like on the down low because you're not supposed to watch like South Korean stuff. And he's talking and they're like, like if you guys get caught, just do this thing that happens in South Korea dramas all the time. And the Captain Lee is like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you just kiss. And then nobody knows what to do. So they look away and let you go about your business. And Captain Lee is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's not going to work, obviously.
flash forward.
Real foreshadowing there.
So the like Coast Guard guy opens up the thing, and then Captain Lee is like, fuck. And then he turns to Yoon Se-ri and kisses her. And then the inspector guy is like, ah! And then closes the lid.
And then he does it again.
Yeah. And then he's like, what did I just see?
And
then
he opens it, and then like Captain's like, okay, I get to do this again.
But they're still just like pulled out, and he's like, well, that didn't work. Like, that guy lied to me.
Yeah.
And so they're like pulled out on board, and basically they say something like they're like a lovers.
Yeah, they write it off as like, oh, we just needed a dark place to go to. Super believable.
But the guy is like, yeah, okay, like I'm still a little bit,
I'm like, uncomfy with this.
So like, sure. And so yet another leaving North Korea attempt is
disrupted.
Ruined,
yeah.
But with an excellent kiss.
Yeah. And that itself is another like trope thing.
100%. And it's funny too, because like afterwards they're like getting into a car to go back to Captain Lee's house, and she's like I'm not someone that would be concerned about stuff like this, but like, what was that? And he's like, oh, I was told that in, South Korean dramas, if you kiss, like, it won't mean anything. And she's like, oh, so that didn't mean anything to you? And he's like, I don't know the right answer.
I don't know what to say right now. Besides yes and no.
And then she like gets like grumpily into the car and like stares off.
You see her like fighting with her own emotions.
Yeah.
She's like, she doesn't know how to feel. Mm-hmm. And it's so cute to watch. It's
adorable. But he also doesn't really, he's interesting because I feel like very early on he like knows, and he's not really fighting it. He's like, but he knows he can't like her because that'll try to keep her here. And so he's like very like internal about his love, but it like manifests itself in his actions.
Like making the coffee.
Oh, that hurt my soul.
Okay, so again, it's hard to do like normal everyday things in this little town.
Yeah.
And something that she is always complaining about, I think, is the lack of coffee.
Same.
And there you get a scene, I think it's after the boat scene.
It might be, yeah.
And he wakes up early, and this man, same as driving that beautiful Jaguar, he like pulls out like these weird green beans. You're like, what the fuck is it? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's roasting his own coffee beans.
Yep.
And then grinding them.
Yep.
And then making old-fashioned, it's like pour-over coffee for her.
Yep. And he like had to like illegally get the beans in the first place. Like
that whole scene.
Yep. And then he gives her a cup of coffee, and she's like,
this is the best coffee ever. Yeah.
It's hard because this whole show are moments like that where you're just like inundated with fucking adorableness.
It's just like there's at least one of these kinds of scenes in every single episode.
But it catches you off guard every time. Like every time
it never gets less fluffy.
No.
Like heart warm and fuzzy.
This is a show I'd probably watch again. Like probably next year in the fall time, I will probably watch the show again.
Actually, and so this is kind of a good place to stop for episode 4. And we realized as we were kind of going through these episodes that we need more time.
Yeah, there's just so many tropes and adorable fucking moments that we need to like fangirl about, honestly.
We love so much about this show. So what we are going to do is do 4 parts for Crash Landing on You, and we will release 2 parts a week.
Yes.
So you're not waiting on us.
Yep. We will try to do like Monday and Friday episodes. And that too, if you ration and
save those extra episodes out for our 2-week break.
Yep. And then it'll be like we were never gone.
Yeah. So there will be 4 episodes total. But before we close out of this episode, I think it might be fun to maybe throw out some additional recommendations, because if you've already like seen this show and if you are giggling as we are and just in love with everything about it,
100%.
We have some other K-dramas for you to watch potentially.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about yours?
Sure. So I have one, I would say, that's like more like romancy, if that's really what you're only interested in, and that's Love Alarm. So for whatever reason, this is like a high school, like
I love that you love this one. It just makes me so happy.
It's like a high school. So the first part's set in a high school, and then the next part is like afterwards. So it's like they grow up or whatever. I cannot really explain why this one is so fucking cute, but all of the shots are like cinematography, like beautifully lined up, beautiful colors, like the feeling behind them. It's one of those like really great fall ones. Aww. But the concept is there's this app that you download and like connect it to your heart basically. And then when you're in like a 10-meter radius of someone else that you like, their love alarm goes off. And so like every time.
As a concept that is so creepy, but also fun for a TV show.
True, fair. And so it's the storyline of this girl who's like struggling to find out who she likes. And it's kind of a love triangle, but it's like handled well, I feel like. Adorable. If that's not really selling it for you, though, and you kind of need something that you can convince, your partner to watch with you that doesn't really like romance stuff, The Glory is one of the best TV shows, hands down, I have ever seen. So this girl was bullied super severely in high school, like has burns all over her arms, like insane. And it's basically her payback as she's an adult and just like fucking up the people who bullied her, but in this very like conniving, crazy, like maniacal plan where it's like that is her whole life, is to get revenge.
Oh my God.
And it's played out so well. It's incredible.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. Yes. Those are my recommendations. Just watch The Glory. Even if that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, it is so fucking good.
If you're like me, I stay within a very narrow window of like K-drama genres. Romance has to like dominate the entire like theme. So that's my recommendation. So the first one is Doom at Your Service. Oh my God.
It's cute. I've seen parts of these
ones.
Oh
my God. So I actually finished Doom at Your Service before I finished Crash Landing.
Oh.
I watched this show in like 4 days.
So that sounds like not that bad, but with these K-dramas, Jordan just said that she listened to like 48 hours of TV.
So much content, but oh my God, if you're going to watch any of them, this one is so, I even got one of the guys at work to start it.
It's super cute.
So the premise of this is this woman is just doing her best to like take care of her family, do a good thing. She works for a publishing company, and she all in one day, she finds out
this first day is like
awful. She finds out that she has brain cancer and she's going to die
like terminal
in 6 months, no matter what happens. Her boyfriend is married and has been she's the bad one.
Yep. Talk about super briefly about how the video.
Oh no. And so as she is
in the same day,
her boyfriend's wife finds her and confronts her in a restaurant, throws water on her, and then the whole episode of this is filmed and then posted online.
And also the wife is pregnant.
Yeah. Awful. This poor woman is just having the worst day of her life.
Yeah.
And so she says, fuck it. And so she goes out, she gets raging drunk, buys like 5 bottles of soju or something. And so she is like on her like balcony of her apartment and she is wishing doom upon the world. She's like
fuck it.
Fuck this life. Nothing as good is ever going to happen. And I want the world to be as miserable as I am. And she makes this wish, as there's like comets going across the sky and timing lines up. And then you get to the scene where it flashes to this very dark and broody. I love dark and broody.
He's so handsome too. He plays it really well.
This dude is not as classically handsome as the dude who plays from Crash, but he is dripping in charisma.
Yeah, like he's got that riz.
And so he is like the incarnation of doom. So he is responsible for everything bad that happens on the world, like car accidents and like bad things. But he, like, not in an evil way, but in a balanced way. Like, he provides balance for the rest of the universe. So he hears this wish and he's like, oh, really?
Interesting. You've called my name.
I shall grant your wish. And without getting any more, because it's kind of a complicated wish system that happens, Doom, personification of Doom, and this woman become intertwined. And he is very grumpy Doom, as you'd expect. And she is very like caretaker, feel like compassionate despite suffering a lot. And you get to see how he becomes more human, and
it's fucking adorable.
It is so cute. I cannot rave about this show enough.
Yeah. And the actress that plays the girl is super adorable.
She's so cute. Yes. It's great. So that one, 100%. I have like 5 others I could recommend to you. But in short, there's one more. It's called Something in the Rain. And it's also on Netflix. It has the same actress as from Crash Landing.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a straight up romance. I'm not finished with it yet, but if you like this actress, you just watch it. Pure romance. It's cute.
100%.
So that's 4 episodes of Crash Landing on You, some recommendations. And
I feel like we just revealed why we haven't really read any books.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened right
that's
there.
Like 100% like a week full of video.
So much time lost that could have been spent with a book, but I don't feel guilty about it.
No, I don't either.
We're reading captions.
That is true. It does. If you add up all the captions, it's kind of like reading a book.
There you go. See, we'll sell it to ourselves that way. So
sure.
From our shelf to yours.
From our Netflix to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. The next screen.
Oh, the next scene. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.